this is Ree here. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate all of you. Om Klim Karike Namaha. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. It really helps me a lot. Don't forget to check out my website, paradoxastrology.com. Book your consultation today. I can help you with anything. And if you'd like more exclusive occult videos that I don't post on YouTube, consider subscribing to my Patreon. It also helps to support this channel. Okay, just a really quick video. I just wanted to talk about the transition that you go through from going from Rahu Dasha to Jupiter Dasha. Because there's plenty of videos about what the dashas do, and maybe I will make some eventually. But I kind of like to do videos that no one's doing. And this is based on my personal experience as well as things that I've read. Because I'm in Jupiter Dasha, and it's been a year now. So what better way to explain something than something you've actually been through? Now, this is all going to depend on the strength of your Rahu. But generally, Rahu really does affect the mind. So when we're in Rahu Dasha, there's a lot of material things coming up. We start to get very obsessed with it. Now, how you handle it will depend on the strength of your Rahu. Are you going to go into total illusion, or are you going to be obsessed with it? How obsessed with it will depend on the strength of your Rahu. But generally speaking, people get very obsessed with the material world because it wants you to learn from the material world. So it's not supposed to be a very negative thing, and everyone is afraid of Rahu Dasha. But I want you to remember that Rahu brings you spiritual enlightenment. Some of the most intense spiritual experiences I've ever had were in Rahu Dasha. So if you get connected, if you do your meditation, if you do your sadhana, and you dissolve your ego enough, you can get through Rahu Dasha no problem. And you can actually excel yourself. It's about balancing that spiritual and that material realm. But what most people do is they get too obsessed with the material realm that they lose themselves chasing these things that they think are going to make them who they truly are, which is actually just disconnecting them. Now, when you go from Rahu to Jupiter, there is a huge change that happens. And that's because now you're going from a planet that's very rajasic and can be tamasic, going to a planet that's sattvic, which is a higher consciousness. So you're going from a very low consciousness to a very high consciousness. And it can be very shocking. And not many people talk about how shocking that is. And it's normal. So it's very, very normal because you're going to feel like you just woke up and that you were living unconsciously because you didn't have this knowledge that you're going to gain in Jupiter. Well, depending on the strength of your Jupiter, but regardless, you're going to gain a lot more insight into the world and knowledge into the world. And that's going to come very quickly that you're going to realize the mistakes you made in Rahu. And that's totally fine. Don't be hard on yourself, because if we weren't meant to go through Rahu Dasha, we wouldn't. But it is a lesson in life, and it's something that you are meant to learn karmically. So it's going to be very shocking because you're going to realize that everything you did was very unconscious. And not only that, you got the people that you met, a lot of them wanted you for the wrong reasons. A lot of them you may lose because a lot of things that we gain in Rahu Dasha, even if it's tons of material possessions, we have to leave it behind in Rahu Dasha. And some of those people, maybe they just liked you for what you had, and you're going to have to leave them behind. And once you don't have those things anymore, they're going to be gone. And it's going to be very hurtful. But you're going to realize who your true friends are. And you're going to gain way better friends in Jupiter Dasha. It's just a matter of time. So you have to let those things go. So there's this pain, this separation of who you used to be. And then you're becoming this new version. But you have to let go of your old self, and that's a very painful process. But you will get through it. Now, at the end also of Rahu Dasha, you go through Rahu Sun, then you go through Rahu Moon, then Rahu Mars. these become very difficult. Because the thing is, when you're in the beginning, Rahu is a bit difficult. But then you go Rahu Jupiter, Rahu Saturn, Rahu Mercury. Yeah, it can be a little bit difficult, but then a lot of people can gain material abundance with that. So they kind of disregard how difficult it is because, oh, I'm making money. I've seen so many posts about people in the beginning or middle stages of Rahu, like, Rahu's not bad. I made all this money. I have all these women. I have, I'm living life, and people just don't know how to do it. But I'm sorry to say, but you got to wait till you get to the end of Rahu Dasha, because remember, Rahu's enemies with the sun, Rahu and moon as well, and then Mars Dasha, you're going to be very angry. There's an explosive anger that can come, or people can come at you in these ways. When Rahu Sun, you're going to see that a lot of people that are in authority positions may start accusing you of things that you did not do. And this is a lesson in leaders that may be a little bit corrupt in these positions, because you got Rahu and you have Sun there. People that you were cool with can start coming at you. There's this lesson in the leadership. This is why also in Rahu Dasha, you do not do anything illegal. Even though you're going to want to cut corners and you're going to get that fast money and you're going to feel that, I can do this, but that's Rahu messing with your mind. So never do anything illegal in Rahu Dasha, because you will get caught and you will go to jail. This is a perfect time to go to jail. How do you avoid Rahu getting mixed up in your mind? Well, you have to not eat garlic or onion, because these amplify our rajasic nature, or some say tamasic nature. So this can make you more obsessed, have more desire, and what you want to do is regulate that desire, because nothing's going to be enough for you. It doesn't matter how much money you make, it's not going to be enough. And then you're going to have this crash at the end because you thought your whole persona had to do with the money that you made, or the women, or the status that you had, and then now you no longer have that status, and now you're going to have to rebuild yourself. And it's easier if you do that in Rahu Dasha and not get so attached to these things, so that you don't have this huge crash in Jupiter. You're going to lose these things because they came out of ego, and then now you're in Jupiter and you're not in that ego phase anymore. Your ego is going to kind of be put more on the back burner because you have this knowledge of what you were doing. And eventually Jupiter is finance. So you're going to gain wealth as well if you have a well-placed Jupiter. So there is this period, this transition. And usually there's this transition where people have to start over, start a new business completely. So you're going to go through this period of you're going to have to find yourself again. And that is difficult for some people, but it is a necessary process. And then when you're in Rahu Moon Dasha, now things start to affect your mind, because the obsession that you had becomes even stronger. And you're going to have choices to make. The choice you make at the end of Rahu Dasha is very important to how your Jupiter Dasha is going to be. Are you going to be able to just let go? Once you start understanding and things start falling apart, can you just let go? Or are you going to be trying to hold on tight to this thing that isn't you, and it's going to cause you more misery? That's going to be very important. You want a very smooth transition into Jupiter Dasha. Now, the other thing with Rahu Dasha is when we're in Rahu Venus Dasha, a lot of people make mistakes in their relationships, or they start being obsessed with people who are not good for them, who are actually using them. So that is another thing that you're going to realize when you go into Jupiter Dasha, the people that were not really there for you. And so that's why you have to get rid of all the people as well. And most of them, unless you had a very well-placed Rahu, but even then, people, it affects their mind. Or you could have been the one using people. You could have wanted all these people for status because they help you in your business, but you didn't necessarily like them. That can happen as well. But the intense spiritual awakenings that you can get from Rahu can translate into Jupiter Dasha. That's the only thing you can take with you. And it's the same as when you go to different lives. It's like you're going to die and be reborn. And people will notice it. And then also, now you're going to attract more people who are Jupiterian rather than Rahu. You're actually not going to want to be around people who are in Rahu Dasha, which is just funny because we attract people in similar dashas. So you're kind of going to look at the Rahu Dasha people as unconscious, and you're going to realize that you are one of them. that can be very tricky with the mind as well, because you're going to realize how much illusion that you were carrying with you. It's going to feel almost like, did I waste this time in Rahu Dasha? Because nothing was real. It was kind of my mind and my ego taking center stage. But no, all of these were necessary lessons, because you have to learn from the material world to move on. And then now, with that knowledge of the material world and Jupiter giving you even better knowledge without ego, you're going to be able to accomplish greater things than you ever did in Rahu Dasha. But it may not feel like it at first, because some people do miss Rahu Dasha, because it can take you to heights that you've never been before. But if you remember that it's just a phase, and that Jupiter can take you to heights as well, but in a different way, in a new way, and you embrace it, then you can see greater potential, because now you have greater knowledge. So these are just a few things about Rahu and Jupiter Dasha. If you're interested, I'll make more videos about it. I thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one.